Hello, Seth. We're
Okay,
recording.
I'm here. We got it.
All right. Great. Well, it's good to see
Man,
you, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Except for all that hassle right there. That was intense.
You're going to have to quit having an opinion, evidently.
I know. Exactly.
That doesn't line up with the enemy.
Yep, exactly. It's kind of, I don't really even post that much stuff that's controversial, but apparently they won't let me go live anymore. So,
Interesting.
mhm.
I'm glad you were able to get on with me today, and I wanted to just have this unpack some things about this weekend that's coming up, March 25th, 26th, and 27th, I believe are the dates, correct?
Yep,
You have that on your calendar, right?
I do have it on my calendar. I got it right here. Do you have it on your calendar? That's the question. I'm showing up with my family. We're all coming.
Yeah, that's going to be so much fun, and you're staying at our house too, so
I know.
better bring a warm blanket. So
All right, I will.
it's been a year ago, and really probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago, that I was reading Matthew chapter 18, chapter 18, and in verse 3, because the disciples were always worried about who's going to be the greatest. And I love this
Yeah.
picture. Jesus took a little one to his side and said to them, "Learn this well. Unless you dramatically change your way of thinking and become teachable and learn about heaven's kingdom realm with the wide-eyed wonder of a child, you will never be able to enter in." And
Wow.
that's where I got the name for this gathering that we started, and you came down. It's just about a year ago, or I
Yeah.
guess up from Austin. It used to be down from Ready, but now up from Austin. And man, we just had so much fun. But let's take just a few minutes and kind of unpack that verse, Seth. What all do you see in that verse, and what will our gathering will come about in the gathering because of that?
Yeah, like, I mean, when I think of that verse, I think about the difference between childishness and childlikeness. And a lot of times I think people get, you know, Paul said, when I became a man, I put childish things away. And so a lot of times as adults, we're like, put childish things away, grow up, be a grown up, be an adult, be a man, be a woman. We put all these things away, but we put them away because we don't understand the difference between childishness and childlikeness. And so childlikeness is like that verse talks about the wide-eyed wonder, where it's like, wow, I love life, and I love God, and I love what he's doing, and I love what he's up to, and I'm looking for that, and I'm watching for that. You know, you see little kids running around, and especially when they're real small, they're looking at everything. It could be a hinge on a door, and they're looking at it with that wonder of like, wow, this is amazing. You know, I think maybe last year I gave an example where sometimes I'm on an airplane flying, and it just hits me. Like, I'm 30,000 feet in the air, watching a movie, eating food, and then I'm going to go to the bathroom, and then I'm going to sleep. 30,000 feet in the air. I'm going hundreds of miles an hour at the same time. And I'm like, it hits me sometimes like, this is miraculous. This is amazing. This is so wonderful. And, you know, I think that's part of what he's getting to, is like, hey, we need to grow up. We need to be mature. We need to pay our bills. We need to show up on time. We need to put away childish things. But unless we change and become like little children with the wide-eyed wonder, we can't enter the kingdom. And so I think embracing childlikeness, simple trust, joy, looking at life through the lens of how awesome it is, and how really miraculous pretty much everything is. That's what God's looking for. That's what God's wanting. Of course, be a grown up, and at the same time, don't lose childlikeness. Keep that thing. So I think, you know, I think that's a huge part of it, is that differentiation of what Jesus is going for there.
I agree with that. In addition to that, I want this weekend, and my heart behind it when we first did it was that we would restore that to a bunch of stale adults who were told all of their childhood, well, you're going to have to, that's a great imagination, when it wasn't imagination. It was probably spiritual giftings. And
Yeah.
because their parents didn't know quite how to train them in them, because they weren't trained. We parent the way we were parented unless we have a change in the way we're thinking. And I deal with a lot of people through Sozo ministry that were robbed of their childhood because their parents didn't understand, and their spiritual giftings were medicated and numbed because
Yeah.
we didn't want to put up with the childishness, which is legal when you are a child.
Yes.
In getting rid of the childishness, we destroyed the
Yeah.
childlikeness. And
Yeah.
so this weekend is about restoring the wide-eyed wonder of a child, the
Yeah.
having the childlikeness restored in the lives of the people that come. You
Yeah.
know,
You know what?
yeah, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Sam.
No, go ahead,
I,
please.
I was just gonna say, like, I've really had this. I've been making notes and just preparing the last few weeks, and I've just been really getting wrecked with, in Luke 4, I think it's verse 18, Jesus says, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me because He's anointed me to. One of the things to preach the gospel to the poor, but He said, and bring recovery of sight to the blind, right? And so we know Jesus brought physical sight back to blind people. He did it all the time. We know that's a part. Sorry, I'm going to turn off my notifications real fast. Um, hopefully I'm back. There we go. I didn't want my phone going off. So we we know that he restored physical sight. That's a given. That's awesome. We want that in people's lives. But what's crazy to me is when Jesus took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish from the little kid, the little boy, he takes the loaves and it says he looked up to heaven and he gave thanks. And then he broke the bread and they passed it out and they fed 5,000 men plus women plus children plus had the 12 baskets left over. But that word looked up comes from the same word, recovered sight. So Jesus is looking at 5 loaves and 2 fish, but then he goes, wait a second, I'm going to recover sight. I'm going to look at this according to what it looks like in heaven. I'm going to look at the Father. I'm going to recover the way I see things, and then I'm going to bring that world here. So I think that's a huge thing we're going to go after. I have a bunch of notes ready, but I think that's one of the ones we're going to push on quite strong is that whole, it's the wide-eyed wonder. It's like Jesus is looking at 5 loaves and 2 fish, and the disciples are going, you see how many people are here? You know how much money this would cost? You know how long this is going to take? Jesus, we're tired. We came here because we're tired. And then they showed up, and all these reasons, but they're not seeing. And even I think even Jesus at that point, now we know he's the flawless, perfect Son of God, but I think there's something powerful about him going, I'm caught up in the need of the people. I know I'm going to do something, but I'm caught up. It sounds weird to say. I don't think he was caught up in their stuff. I don't think he was ever caught up in their stuff, but I think he was teaching us look, when everyone around you has no idea how the miracle is going to happen, when everyone around you is thinking money, is thinking not enough, is thinking all we have is one lunch, is thinking there's no way we're going to do this, what in the world, this is horrible, he's going, hey, aim your vision somewhere else and watch what happens when you do that. And I think I do believe, in some sense I do and I don't, where I believe Jesus did. He's 100% God, but he's also 100% man. And he's in the middle of all of that going, I need to recover sight so I can do what God is doing, not what everybody else is doing. I can think the way God is thinking, not like everybody else is thinking. I can get myself out of this and back into his world and recover my sight and then perform the miracle. So we're going to talk about that a bit.
Good. I'm excited because I've never, and I don't know anyone who has truly ever fully grasped that hypostatic union of fully God and fully man. However, I love the way we say it in our tribe. Jesus did not come to show us what God could do. If he did, it was pretty amazing. But he came to show us what fully devoted man could do. And this is what you're talking about, recovery of that sight, looking to heaven. He came to show us what fully devoted man could do. Otherwise, if he was all God, then it excuses me from doing the things that he did. and even greater. But he wouldn't leave us with that excuse. So man, I tell you, Seth, I can't wait. It's going to be out of this world. Something you need to know. I know you gave a prophetic word when you were here that God was going to be giving people homes, new homes, homes, not necessarily new homes. But since then, we've had 7 people get homes. Wow. And between the time you prophesied and today, in fact, one of our elders, his daughter and son-in-law had been living with him, and they bought a new home. That's one of them. And he said, when they get out, and probably 6-8 months later, we'll move me out and we'll find another, we'll downsize. Well, God's put a fire underneath him. He wasn't even asking him, but they ended up buying a brand new house and moving in the same neighborhood as her daughter before her daughter moves in.
Wow.
They move in the 30th, and their daughter moves in the 30th too. That's just, and we just had so many people. We had one of our school teachers. They've been living in an apartment, and they're not lit. So that's eight homes. My director just told me this just in. Wow. It's 8 homes, and her testimony was they've been living in an apartment their whole life. They moved here from Poland, never had owned a home, and she had a dream of owning a home. And she just one day she said, I'm gonna go look for one. And she went and looked at this house, and it was just gorgeous. Evidently, it's beautiful, and in her dream neighborhood. And she thought, I can't afford this. And the Holy Spirit says, I ain't a cheap God. And so they and they got the home. They're going to be moving in the next 30 to 60 days, I think. And so that's 8 homes, and our home got completely remodeled. That's the only reason you're going to be staying with us, so we can.
I know.
So
I love it.
And so, not this wide-eyed gathering is not just getting a transformation that will keep us in wonder, and is what we should be, because he's wonderful. He's full of wonder, and but it's also going to be a time of ministry that not only brings spiritual transformation, but literally the prophetic words, strategic prophetic words that, in fact, I'm going to release you as I've released our house, because I trust you. You can give directional words. I'm expecting strategies to come forth that will just blow people's minds during this 3-day gathering. So,
I'm excited. I'm so excited.
Seth, my expectancy is high. I don't know exactly what God's going to do, but I know it's going to be amazing. It's going to be good. So, man, thank you so much for your time. Anything you want to add to this? Anything that you think would be of value?
I think, I just had something really fun happen here in the house that I think potentially will be a part of this weekend. Is, my son, he's dealt off and on with a bit of fear. Usually it's because he's believing a lie. And so, he's had some really powerful times with God, and, he's had some really rough times with fear. He's 9.
9 years old.
And so we were talking about this trip we're going to go on an airplane, go to a camp in a few months. And he's like, I'm not going. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And I said, well, I don't want you making decisions from fear. And so I said, you know what, buddy? Get over here. I'm going to get that fear off you. And he ran off, and I chased him, and we've been running around the house. Before this, we were running around the house for like 20 minutes. He's under his bed. I'm dragging him out. I said, I'm going to give you a super hug, because perfect love casts out fear. I'm like, I'm going to give you a super hug. Get over here. And we're just roughhousing, and I'm like wrestling him, kissing him all over. I'm like, is the fear gone? Did you let it go yet? And we're just going off, and his brother and sister are trying to help him. It's kind of funny, because like, listen, you 2 children, stop trying to let him keep this fear. But at the same time, we're all having fun. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to show you. And I kept saying things like, your fear is no match for your dad. That fear is no match for your dad. You get over here. Your dad is going to get that fear off you with a hug. And I've kissed him like 1,000 times today. And we're just like roughhousing the fear, playing the fear off. But I felt like, man, that's probably something I'll probably tell that story as well. And just like, look, sometimes we let fear make decisions for us, and it's because somehow we've stepped away from love. Somehow we've stepped away from the Father's love, and we need to let him chase us down and wrestle that fear off of us and hug the fear off and kiss the fear off. And so I think we'll probably do something like that too. I don't know how it's going to play out or how it's going to go, but my kids are going to be there, so I'll probably tell the story, and they'll laugh. They will probably laugh and just have a great time. But
we want your kids to feel free to minister. We want all the kids to. This is a all play time.
okay.
And I also think that this should be a live illustration of everyone in the room chasing around and kissing on people and hugging on people and getting with love, getting rid of the fear. So I may not want to, if you're listening to this on Facebook, that probably won't happen because things like that happen in church.
Yeah, we behave ourselves.
Yeah, that's a lie. We do not.
Yeah, I know.
So we're going to have a blast. I know that. It's going to be good.
We are. It's going to be so fun.
All right,
Come
man.
on, I'm excited.
I am as well. I can't wait. We got your room ready, and it's going to be good. It's going to be amazing.
Okay.